Now, I know that as an aspiring cybersecurity professional, you want to understand the difference between the theoretical aspect of cybersecurity and the practical aspect. But when you get into the industry, when you get your hands on the real thing within an organization, it doesn't really look like that. Bring the theoretical knowledge that you have acquired into the real world. You are going to be given a scenario where something happened, and then you'll be given instruction to go and fix whatever it is. Hello, cyber friends. It's good to be here again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And wow, it's been a long journey coming. This is episode 8. It's been wonderful. If you've been following this series, you will know that a lot of gems has been dropped, a lot of tips, a lot of strategies have been shared from my practical experience and from experience over the years in cybersecurity. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about cybersecurity theory versus practical. Now, I know that as an aspiring cybersecurity professional, you want to understand the difference between the theoretical aspect of cybersecurity and the practical aspect. And I'm going to be talking about it today, and I'm also going to be talking about what it looks like when you get in, like when you get into the real world within an organization, what it looks like, and the difference between that and what you are looking at in the papers. All right. So, as I always use my own experience to actually communicate my point over time, because I believe that I'm always sharing from my experience just to let you know that I've experienced some of these things, and I believe that if you have somebody who can communicate some of these things unfiltered without sugarcoating it, it's going to be very helpful for you in your journey, right? Now, learning cybersecurity from the papers or saying preparing for certifications, you're going to be seeing a lot of definitions, a lot of concept defined, very clean, and it looks so smooth and all of that. But when you get into the industry, when you get your hands on the real thing within an organization, it doesn't really look like that. Within the theoretical aspect, a lot of concepts are defined, right? They give you like a definition, understanding of it, how it works, what happens when this happens, and all of that. But when you get in, it can be very difficult for you to be able to quickly click on what to do when this happens, the way it is in theory. And that is why a constant practice with a lab environment is very important as you are learning, so that by the time you now get a job and you are interfaced with some of these technologies, you interface with some of these real world projects, it's very easy for you because you do not only read about those concepts alone, you also like have practice within a lab environment where you've been able to maybe break things and repair things, maybe configure things, destroy things, and then reconfigure them, where you have deassembled things and reassembled them. That will really help you to be able to bring the theoretical knowledge that you have acquired into the real world or into a real world project. Now, within an organization, nobody is going to be asking you what a firewall is. You are going to be given a scenario where something happened, and then you'll be given instruction to go and fix whatever it is that has happened. And then that is where your understanding of, let's say, firewall configuration or what rules to set when what happens set in. You see, and that is the bridge between theory and the practical, right? Because the understanding of how firewall works from the theoretical aspect, what firewall is, how it works, and the rules that you're supposed to set when this or this happen, that is where it now kicks in. And then you now begin to implement based on that understanding. That is firewall. Let's talk incident response, right? There are different incidents that requires different actions. There are different incidents that requires different approaches, right? And in the real world, you won't have the luxury of time to be consulting your textbook or to be consulting a website that talks about incident response process, right? But your understanding of incident response from the theoretical aspect is what is going to help you. And then how you have over time practice different scenarios while you are learning within a lab environment or within like a platform like a sandbox where you have responded to different incidents, examples, or samples. That is what will now help you with, oh, I remember this time there was a ransomware scenario that I actually treated within a lab environment. And I think I can actually use that experience to deal with this. And sometimes it requires research. When it gets to the practical aspect where you work on real life projects, you get to research about how do you approach solving those problems, how do you approach fixing those things. But what I'm saying is, while you are learning through the acquisition of knowledge, definitions about security concepts, about some of these concepts in cybersecurity, also try and get your hands dirty. And that's why we have labs. And I'm still going to be talking about job experience versus work experience, where I'm going to be going deeper into how do you get a work experience? What does job experience offers you? What does work experience offers you? What makes them different? But as I've said, the practical aspect is what gets things done, not just the theory or the theoretical aspect. The practical aspect of cybersecurity is what gets things done. You don't just have a knowledge, you don't just have an understanding. You must be able to apply the knowledge and the understanding for you to be able to fix things, for you to be able to get things done. So, writing certifications, examination is not enough. Passing those examinations are not enough. Yes, they're validation that you have acquired certain skill in that area, or you have an understanding of those concepts that the certification speaks to, but that is not enough. It is important that you also up onto the practical aspect of all of those theories or all of the knowledge you have gathered so that it can solidify your experience while you get on the job. You are able to tap into those experiences that you have had when you were playing around labs. And that's why home lab is very important. If you can't build your own home lab, you can actually leverage platforms that offers cloud-based labs like tryhackme.com, cyberdefense.com. There is Let's Defense, there is Cyber Ranges, right? A lot of them like that you can leverage to be able to actually experience what practical aspect of cybersecurity looks like. And you don't just and not just sit with all of the learnings that you have done on the internet, reading resources, sitting for certification exams or taking some courses. That is not enough for you to be able to thrive and grow in your career. I hope you've been able to actually learn one or two things in this episode. It's very short, but I bet you it is very powerful because when you eventually get a job, nobody is going to be asking you what a firewall is. Nobody is going to be asking you, so what are the processes of incident response? They expect you to swing into action, fix things, deliver your deliverables, up to tasks, take initiative, be proactive about things and get things done. And that is why this particular episode is very important. And I hope that you actually put these things to work and begin to execute straight up. If you have not registered on those platforms that are listed, please register on them. And then you can also make your research on how to actually set up your own home lab from your own system or your own laptop. I'm going to see you in the next episode. If you have any question regarding this episode or the previous episode, or you have questions, general questions that does not relate to what I've been talking about, you can drop that in the comment section and I'm going to open it and I'm going to be talking about it. It's either I talk about it, creating a different video entirely for it, or I respond in the comment section. Thank you. Bye.